He pretended to be a victim so that he could hide his evil plan from everyone. A 19-year-old boy had been acting strange for quite some time. He started to spend more time alone in his room than usual, and when he did come out, he would always have a sullen look on his face. He claimed that he was bullied at school, but no one believed him because he never told them anything specific about what happened. And now he wanted revenge. Daniel stared at his computer screen as he typed furiously. His eyes were red and swollen from lack of sleep. For days, he'd been working on his ultimate revenge plan, carefully planning every detail to make it perfect. It took a lot of time and effort, but now it was almost finished. He could unwait to put it into action and watch as everything started to fall apart around him. But before that, he needed to set the stage. Daniel decided to fake being bullied. He wrote down everything he needed to say and practiced his facial expressions in front of the mirror. It wasn't easy, but he knew it was important if he wanted his plan to work. Every morning when he left for school, he would put on a sad expression and mumble something about being bullied. Sometimes he would even stumble and fall on purpose to really sell the performance. It was all part of his plan to get people to feel sorry for him and listen to what he had to say. He started telling everyone that he was being harassed by a group of boys who called themselves the Wolves. They made fun of him, pushed him around, and said bad things about him in front of everyone. No one knew who the Wolves were, but they didn't need to. Daniel was so convincing with his story that everyone believed him and felt sympathy for him. Daniel's plan was going well, but he knew he needed to speed it up. He had only 1 week left until his final exams, and he wanted to put his revenge plan into action before then. He thought for a moment, and then had a brilliant idea. The next day at school, Daniel came up with a new tactic. He started spreading rumors that the Wolves had stolen his phone and threatened him if he didn't give them money. This made everyone angry, and they wanted to do something to help him. Many students gathered around Daniel, asking him questions about the Wolves and how they could stop them from bullying him. He made sure to play the helpless victim, answering their questions with a shrug and a sad look on his face. Some people even offered to fight the Wolves, but Daniel quickly declined their offers. He knew that if he let them do that, they might get hurt, and then his plan would fail. He needed the Wolves to be untouchable, like a scary rumor that everyone believed but no one had ever seen. One of Daniel's classmates, Sarah, noticed that something wasn't right. She had seen Daniel acting strangely for weeks now. She could unhelp but wonder if there was more to his story than he was letting on. She decided to follow him after school to see where he went and what he did. She kept a safe distance, hiding behind bushes and large trees so that he wouldn't notice her. After school, Daniel went straight to a nearby park and sat down on a bench. Sarah hid behind a tree nearby and watched him closely. After a few minutes, he pulled out his phone and started texting someone. Sarah couldn't see the screen, but she could hear the words he was saying out loud. "I think I'm close to getting what I want," he said with a smile. "Just a few more days and then everything will be perfect." Sarah gasped and hid behind the tree. Daniel was up to something sinister, and she knew she had to find out what it was. She followed him home and staked out his house, hoping to catch him doing something incriminating. Days passed and Sarah continued to watch Daniel, but she didn't see anything suspicious. He seemed like a normal teenager, going to school, hanging out with friends, and playing video games. She was starting to think that maybe she was wrong about him when suddenly she saw something that made her blood run cold. One evening, Daniel went to his basement and emerged carrying 2 large trash bags. He took them to a nearby dumpster and emptied them, then came back upstairs and went inside. Sarah knew she had to investigate further. That night, while Daniel was asleep, Sarah snuck into his house and went to the basement. She found an old metal toolbox and, after rummaging through it for a while, found what she was looking for, a hidden camera. She examined the camera. She realized that it was recording directly to a hard drive. With trembling hands, she opened the hard drive and looked at the footage. What she saw made her gasp. It was a recording of Daniel's bedroom. In the corner, hidden by a blanket, was a tiny camera. Someone had been watching him, but who? The answer came to Sarah in a flash. She remembered Daniel talking on the phone in the park and the strange things he had said. He had mentioned wanting something and said that everything would be perfect in just a few days. What if the hidden camera wasn't in his room, but in someone else's? What if Daniel was planning to blackmail someone using the footage? With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah raced to her own computer and started digging. She searched the internet for any news stories about hidden cameras or blackmail, and eventually came across a website that offered data recovery services. She sent an email explaining her situation and waited anxiously for a response. A few days later, Sarah received an email back with instructions on how to send the hard drive. She carefully packaged the hard drive and sent it off. The recovery specialist promised that they would do everything they could to retrieve the data. Meanwhile, Daniel was starting to get nervous. He had planned to use the blackmail material to ruin his classmate's reputation, but he still hadn't gotten any money from the person he was blackmailing. What if they didn't believe him? What if they went to the police? He needed to get the money soon, but the recovery specialist had already recovered the data and had it in his possession. He opened the file and looked at the images. His face was pale. There was no doubt that this was the evidence he had been looking for. The recovery specialist had done an excellent job. He had managed to recover every single image, despite the fact that it had been heavily encrypted. Sarah had recovered the data, and now she had to figure out what to do with it. She knew that the police wouldn't believe her, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. She went to the person she suspected Daniel was blackmailing and showed them the evidence. They were shocked and grateful for Sarah's help. News of Daniel's actions spread like wildfire, and soon everyone knew what he had been up to. He had tried to ruin someone's life, but it had backfired on him. In the end, Daniel's evil plan had been foiled and everyone could move on with their lives. But what happened to Daniel? Was he punished for his actions? You'll have to wait until next time to find out. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our thrilling stories. And thank you for watching.